it's about time we talked about some basketball, because a couple of weeks ago we were looking at the Brooklyn Nets and we were wondering when are these guys going to get it together.
Yeah,
they seem to be doing it
they heard that
little by
knowing
little.
Kevin Durant. Yeah, and knowing Kevin Durant, he probably heard our show and said, "I'll show Matt, I'll show Ken." They proved it this week. The Nets are back, baby. 4 straight wins on the week. An incredible showing from really Kevin Durant for all of it. Let's just take a look back on Wednesday, the 117-108 win against Atlanta. 30-point performance from Kevin Durant, 32 points total. He shot 13 of 20 from the field. Add on top of that, Joe Harris having his best 3-point shooting performance, going 6 of 8, 18 points overall.
Thank you. Because Joe Harris, look, Kevin Durant, you could pencil in the points. That's what makes him so great. James Harden, you could pencil in the assists. That's what makes him so great.
Yeah, well,
the X factor for that team, like it or not, is Joe Harris. If Joe Harris hits, they'll have an easy evening. If Joe Harris is cold, doesn't matter what Brown or what Durant or Harden or anybody else on the team can do.
Yeah, that's true. It's to me, it's less Harris in particular. It's a great point. If he's getting 18, 20 points, then you can pencil and win, I'd argue. But really, it's about, again, that trio, and again, those guys. It's really, to me, about the Nets spreading the scoring. If you're able to have guys, 4 or 5 guys contribute offensively, as opposed to getting that 30, 40-point performance from Durant. Or as of recently, past couple games, getting that 30-point performance from Harden, which he's been missing a lot of so far this season. Getting guys like Joe Harris to step up, or Patty Mills and LaMarcus Aldridge coming off the bench and combining for 24 of the team's 34 bench points. It's going to be a big factor in how far this team goes, Matt.
You know what? I don't necessarily want Harden to drop in 30 points a game. I do want him to have 10-plus assists.
I think he could do both. He has the talent. The problem with James Harden for a long time, or this starting out the season, was that, and even still, that he came in out of shape. And you look at him the past couple of seasons, he's done that as well. And if he wasn't James Harden, he'd be reprimanded for that. Because he's James Harden, he gets away for it. But he honestly played well below the standard he's held to start the season. But the past couple of games, tonight's in particular, that 116-103 win against Toronto, he delivered. And Brooklyn really needed that. They have a 10-game losing streak in Canada, and the game is tight till the end. James Harden scored 16 points in the fourth, 28 total, on top, Matt, of 10 rebounds and dishing out several assists. Him being able to do it all.
10 rebounds, 8 assists.
Exactly. Thank you. 8 assists. Him being able to do it all is to me, I think, a giant, maybe right. Yeah, definitely right behind Durant's scoring ability, the biggest impact on how successful this offense can be.
I'll tell you another guy out there, Blake Griffin.
Yeah,
he's
he delivered
adjusting
today
to his role.
Yeah.
And his main role, I think, is basically be Kurt Rambis. I mean, just throw your body around and beat people up.
Yeah.
And
he's,
Yeah, and he's working his way into it. 14 points on the night, 11 rebounds, led the team.
Yeah.
So
he struggled a lot, too, at the start of the season. I think tonight was a step in the right direction. He's a guy, to me, who's a bit more of a what if. You could see him really, max out the full potential on his post game. We know how good he is inside. He's been working on his 3-point game as well. But tonight, he showed a glimpse of that, of being dominant inside. As you said, 14 points, 11 boards. He was one of 6 players to finish in double figures in the road win, along with Bruce Brown, who's the second best defensive stopper and arguably the anchor of this Nets defense. Joe Harris had 11, Patty Mills had 13. So them being able to score in double figures and 29 assists on 41 made shots, this is definitely the offense we have come to expect from this Brooklyn team, and is going to be a big reason why they win games. I just like to add too, defensively, really more so against Atlanta and Detroit, that I think really won them the game. Detroit in particular, they won 96-90, and Kevin Durant didn't really play. He wasn't his sharpest. He still shot 44%, but it was a nail biter till the end, and they were able to make key stops and hold Detroit down when they were coming back in the last seconds. And that game against Atlanta, they held Trae Young to 6 of 22 in 37 minutes.
You want to hear something? Talk about three-pointers. Durant 3 for 6, Griffin 4 for 6, Harris 3 for 7, Harden 3 for 10, and Mills 3 for 6 off the bench. Yeah. So everybody's shooting them, and they're hitting them at a decent rate.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. You want to see why that's been so successful?
38 overall.
Yeah, it's because of that 3-point game. Honestly, it's when it's hot, no one's stopping it. The only way you can stop it is by matching it, because the Nets get 15, 16, 20 3-pointers. They're untouchable, and having an improved defense. The Nets team, they're legit, and it's important too with a 76ers team which is playing just as good so far to start the season. It does kind of make you concerned, though, as a Knicks fan, seeing the Nets improve defensively. The Sixers always have good defense. The Knicks defense hasn't really been showing up the past couple games, Matt.
Yeah, and it showed up in that 126-109 loss to Cleveland at the Garden tonight.
Yeah, that was really a tale of two halves, where you see a really hungry Cavaliers team, and they really haven't played to their strengths. But, for a guy like Evan Fournier for the Knicks, I thought really stepped up, had 11 points, to start off the first quarter. The Knicks, I thought, looked good from the first, but, they kind of fell off to where the Cavs outscored the Knicks 33-18 and really never looked back. They held the Knicks to shooting less than 10 3-pointers, making 10 3-pointers for the game.
9-31, yeah.
9-31 to be exact, yeah. Meanwhile, the Cavs were able to sink 5 or 6 of their own. And for the third time in 5 home games, an opposing player has a career night. Ricky Rubio hit 7 straight 3-pointers and had a career-high 37 points. This is not...
8 for 9.
This is not the defense we've come accustomed to for the Knicks over the past season. I know. I couldn't believe it watching it. Honestly thought it was a video game.
Well, I'll tell you something. Well, when a guy gets hot like that, number one, you got to stop him. But the other thing that I've noticed in both these games, the Nets, if you go to the Nets box score, they took 79 shots overall. 38 of them were from 3. That's almost half. Yeah. Even Toronto, who scored 113 points themselves.
Right.
103, rather. 103.
113, 104.
116, 103 am I looking at. Okay. First of all, they stunk it up from 3, 7 for 30. But they took 30 shots out of 87. You go to the Knicks and Cavs, and again, this is probably normal by NBA standards. The Knicks, the Cavs hit 54.3 from 3, thanks largely to Rubio.
You bring up
35 out of 90.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks, 31 out of 85, which is probably more normal for the NBA. What tells me, though, is that the Nets are relying more on the outside game.
Well, number one, but the Knicks have been struggling against opposing 3-pointer and 3-point shooters. We saw with Jaylen Brown at the start. He got a career high, shot a lot of threes. Rubio as well. He shot a lot of threes today. At Indiana, when they lost 111-98, Miles Turner went 7 of 10 from 3. And the Pacers held the Knicks to 20% shooting from deep. And the one win they got this week, which surprisingly came up against the defending champs, Milwaukee Bucks. That was a 113-98 game on Friday. They won big because not only of the 3-point game, but having big performances by Julius Randle, 32 points, 12 boards. D. Rose came off the bench with a big 23 points. But outside of Antetokounmpo and Grayson Allen, who did make 6 threes, they were able to shut down a lot of the Milwaukee offense. So it really goes to show that, when the Knicks are allowing other teams to just dominate from beyond the arc, they're not winning games. And that's something the Nets have definitely learned by really stopping a lot of the opposing key 3-point shooters like a Trae Young back on Wednesday.